On Wednesday, November 24th, 1971, the afternoon before Thanksgiving, a man stood at the Northwest Orient Airlines ticket counter at Portland International Airport. It was just after 2 p.m. He paid $20 in cash for a one-way ticket to Seattle. When the clerk asked for a name, he said Dan Cooper. No identification was requested. No questions were asked. Airports were quiet places then. Trust was assumed. The clerk wrote the name in red ink and slid the boarding pass across the counter. Seat 18E, last row. The man thanked her, picked up his briefcase, and walked toward the gate. He wore a dark business suit, a white shirt, and a narrow black tie clipped neatly in place. A black raincoat was folded over his arm. Nothing about him drew attention. He sat alone and waited. At 2:50 p.m., Northwest Orient Flight 305 lifted off the runway bound for Seattle. 36 passengers were on board along with 6 crew members. Captain William Scott sat in the left seat. First Officer William Ratitzak handled communications. Flight Engineer Harold Anderson monitored the instruments. In the cabin, flight attendants Florence Schaffner and Tina Mucklow began drink service. The man in seat 18E ordered a bourbon and 7-Up. He lit a Raleigh cigarette and watched the clouds slide past the window. A few minutes after takeoff, as the plane leveled off, Cooper handed a note to Florence Schaffner as she passed his row. She did not read it. She slipped it into her pocket, assuming it was a phone number or a comment she had dealt with many times before. As she walked away, Cooper leaned forward slightly and spoke in a calm voice. "Miss, you should look at that note. I have a bomb." She stopped. When she unfolded the paper, her hands trembled. The handwriting was neat and deliberate. The message was short. It told her to sit beside him. She did. Cooper placed his briefcase on his lap and opened it just enough for her to see inside. Red cylinders arranged carefully. Wires. A battery. He closed the case without explanation. He did not raise his voice. He did not hurry. He told her what he wanted. $200,000 in American currency. 4 parachutes. No police involvement. Schaffner wrote everything down and carried the message to the cockpit. By 3 p.m., air traffic control had been alerted. The aircraft began circling over Puget Sound. Below, the city lights slowly came on as daylight faded. On the ground in Seattle, the FBI was notified. Northwest Orient executives approved compliance. Inside the cabin, Cooper remained seated. He smoked, he drank, he answered questions when asked. Tina Mucklow sat with him for long stretches. She later said he seemed polite, almost gentle. At one point, he looked out the window. "That looks like Tacoma down there," he said. The plane continued to circle. Just after 5:30 p.m., Flight 305 landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport and taxied to a remote section of the runway. Police vehicles kept their distance. A fuel truck waited nearby. The ransom money arrived. 10,000 $20 bills. Every serial number recorded. 4 parachutes were delivered as requested. Cooper inspected everything carefully. He frowned at the bag holding the money. It was not what he wanted. He asked for a knife. Using the blade, he cut open one of the parachutes and emptied it. He tore fabric, pulled cords free, and began converting it into a container large enough to carry the cash. He worked methodically, tying bundles together and redistributing the weight. At 7:40 p.m., Cooper allowed the passengers to leave the plane. 36 people stepped onto the runway, unaware they were walking away from one of the strangest crimes in American history. Only Cooper and 4 crew members remained. Captain Scott spoke to him through the intercom. Cooper gave precise instructions. "Fly below 10,000 feet. Keep the landing gear down. Set the flaps to 15 degrees. Do not pressurize the cabin. Head south. Stop in Reno for fuel." The configuration was unusual and uncomfortable, but the Boeing 727 could do it. That mattered. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off again, heading south into rain and low clouds. 2 military jets followed at a distance. Inside the cockpit, The crew listened to the wind howl through the aircraft. The flight engineer watched the gauges carefully. Every setting was wrong for comfort, but correct for what Cooper had planned. In the cabin, Cooper stood up. He told Tina Mucklow to go to the cockpit with the rest of the crew. Before she left, she saw him tightening straps around his waist, securing the money, adjusting the parachute harness. She asked if he was really going to jump. He smiled. As she turned to leave, she made one last request. "Please take the bomb with you." He said he would. The cockpit door closed at 8 p.m. Minutes later, a warning light illuminated on the instrument panel. The rear stairs had been lowered. Captain Scott asked if Cooper needed assistance. "No," came the reply. Wind roared through the open tail. Rain battered the fuselage. The aircraft shuddered slightly. At exactly 8:13 p.m., the plane pitched upward for a brief moment. A subtle shift, a sudden lightness. The crew felt it instantly. Somewhere over the dark forests of southwestern Washington, Dan Cooper stepped off the back of the plane and disappeared into the night. No one saw him fall. No parachute was spotted. The escort jets saw nothing. The rain swallowed everything. Flight 305 continued to Reno. When the plane landed at 10:15 p.m., the rear stairs were still down. FBI agents surrounded the aircraft cautiously. Captain Scott exited and confirmed Cooper was gone. Inside the cabin, investigators found what he had left behind: 2 parachutes, cut cords, and a black clip-on tie resting on seat 18E. Search teams moved quickly. Helicopters scanned forests, crews combed riverbanks, divers searched cold water. Maps were redrawn again and again as weather data and flight paths were debated. Each new theory pushed the search somewhere else. Each search ended the same way. Nothing. Days passed, weeks, years. No parachute was found, no briefcase, no body, no trace of the man who had stepped into the open air. Then on February 10th, 1980, nearly 9 years later, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was digging in the sand along the Columbia River at a place called Tana Bar. His shovel struck something soft. Bundles of $20 bills emerged from the sand. Decayed, fragile, still bound with rubber bands. $5,800. The serial numbers matched the ransom money exactly. The discovery raised new questions. The money was too intact to have spent years underwater, too damaged to have been carefully buried. It did not fit cleanly into any explanation. The rest of the ransom never appeared. The tie remained the last physical trace of Cooper. Decades later, scientists examined it. Tiny metal particles clung to the fabric, materials associated with advanced manufacturing and specialized industrial work. DNA was recovered as well, but it was incomplete. No match. In July of 2016, the FBI officially closed the case. They had a ticket with a false name, a bomb that was never recovered, parachutes that vanished, money that partly returned, and a man who left nothing behind but silence. On November 24th, 1971, Dan Cooper boarded a plane. Before Thanksgiving arrived, he was already gone. And whatever happened after that, whether he survived or vanished forever, the story ended the moment the aircraft grew lighter, the wind rushed in, and the night closed around him.